Amendment is agreed to.
Okay. Mr. President?
Senator from Montana.
Mr. President, I have a motion to commit at the desk, and I ask that it be reported.
The clerk will report the motion.
The Senator from Montana, Mr. Daines, moves to commit the bill, H.R. 1319, to the Committee on Foreign Relations with instructions.
Mr. President, this motion to commit will send this bill back to the Foreign Relations Committee to include an authorization of the Keystone XL pipeline in the final bill. In fact, as we saw earlier this morning, the Keystone XL pipeline has bipartisan support. Here's the difference. This morning's amendment vote was a 60-vote threshold. This is a simple majority. This is good for union jobs. It's great for our rural communities, reduces emissions. It's time to get this done. I urge my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to support this motion.
The Senator from New Jersey.
Mr. President, colleagues, this amendment is meant for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to kill the American Rescue Plan, to kill all the work that has brought us to this moment, to kill the $1,400 checks to American families that will help them stay in their homes and put food on the table, to kill the extended unemployment checks that millions are depending upon us not to let lapse next week, to kill the ability to put more vaccine in the arms of our families, to kill the desperate aid that small businesses need to stay alive, to kill the chance to lift 50% of all of those children in poverty into the sunlit plains of opportunity. The Senate has already expressed itself today on Keystone. The committee rules could not accommodate this referral in the time frame offered. Enough is enough. It's time to defeat this amendment and pass the American Rescue Plan. I urge my colleagues to vote against it.
Senator from Montana.
The only thing that's been killed is the Keystone XL pipeline by President Biden. This resurrects the Keystone XL pipeline. The union jobs are needed. The rural communities need these tax revenues for their schools. This is what we want to do. We had bipartisan support for that this morning. Let's do it again. I urge passage of this motion to commit.
The question is on the motion. Is there a sufficient second? There appears to be. There is. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Baldwin. Ms. Baldwin, no. Mr. Barrasso. Mr. Barrasso, aye. Mr. Bennett. Mr. Bennett, no. Mrs. Blackburn. Mrs. Blackburn, aye. Mr. Blumenthal. Mr. Blumenthal, no. Mr. Blunt. Mr. Blunt, aye. Mr. Booker. Mr. Bozeman. Mr. Bozeman, aye. Mr. Braun. Mr. Braun, aye. Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown, no. Mr. Burr.